about music when it hits you. Whoa, whoa, I say one good thing about music when it hits you. You feel no pain. Hit me with music, yeah. Hit me with music now.
Bob Marley's music inspires countless people around the world and is a source of meditation and entertainment.
One good thing about the music, when it hits you feel no pain. One good thing about the music, when it hits you feel no pain.
The 10th annual staging of the Africa Unite Symposium was recently held at the multifunctional room of the University of the West Indies, Mona campus. This year's theme, One Good Thing About Music, When It Hits You, You Feel No Pain, focused on the work of Bob Marley through his music. The program commenced with the greetings from representatives of the Ministry of Youth and Culture, South African High Commission, and the Nigerian Embassy, all of which commented on the results of Bob Marley's music on our society.
Africa Unite, 'cause we're moving right out of Babylon, and we're grooving to our Father's hand. How good and how pleasant it would be before God and man to see the unification of all Rastaman.
There's a persistence of African elements in Jamaican music and how we dialogue on themes such as slavery, resistance, rebellion, preservation. Africa calls to our music. And when we absorb it, or as Bob puts it, when it hits you, which means it has an impact, that is when it addresses that sense of longing, that distress, that pain of disconnection from our African heritage. The functionality of music couples with a theme of collective participation. The audience is active and essential to the music. So the music doesn't exist without significant involvement of work, dance, song, clapping of hands, the alternation between lead and chorus, which is an African thing of call and response. And that's a defining characteristic of African music. And I think this is evident in both Africa Unite and Trenchtown Rock. Once you hear Bob give the call, one good thing about music, you automatically respond. When it hits, you feel no pain.
So hit me with music, hit me with music, hit me with music, brutalize me with music.
The theme for this year's symposium is one good thing about music. When it hits you, you feel no pain. In the song, Africa Unite, Bob Marley proclaims Pan-African solidarity, and in South Africa, where I come from, the album was partly censored by the then white apartheid government. Bob Marley's music was a source of inspiration to all oppressed people in Africa, and more so to South Africans during the darkest days of apartheid. Enduring songs such as the hypnotic One Love captivated both the young and old alike, and in the process became symbols of Bob Marley's commercial-friendly image to European audiences and elsewhere, while iconic singles such as Africa Unite, Chant Down Babylon, Buffalo Soldier, and Zimbabwe are all too often relegated to the periphery, which is very unfortunate. Bob Marley was not only a humanist, he was a Pan-African freedom fighter, and one of the major challenges for black people in the 21st century is to rediscover the Pan-African element in Bob Marley's music.
Crying, one love, hear the children crying, one heart, saying give thanks and praise to the Lord, and I will feel alright, saying let's get together and feel alright.
We need to emancipate ourselves from mental slavery. That's the first problem that is besieging the black race. We don't like ourselves. Everything we do is inferior. You know, one of the Jamaican stations always show Bob Marley nowadays. He said he's neither white nor black because God created him. He's not a mulatto, as some would say. But he was created for a purpose. This is a man that has opportunity because of his father from Great Britain. In today's world, he will have migrated because everybody wants to go to Canada, to go to US, but he stayed behind. It's an opportunity that this land called Jamaica can produce more and can be an icon for the world continually, not just for a while, because the people here are talented. I've met many of them. I'm in class in U with some of them. I'm in class in CMI with some of them. We discuss. You discover that we just need to look inward. When you leave yourself from mental slavery and you start thinking positively about your country, you will discover that this country has greatness, has potential. Japan has no mineral resources. Singapore has no mineral resources. But when you develop your mental ability, you discover that the country will move forward.
The entertainment package was well delivered by Fika Selassie and Bongo Herman.
From the grace of this little bitty island of Jamaica, through to the great ancient and holy land, palaces and places of Ethiopia, I must respect your father. Jesus Christus Rastafari as thy brother. Buddha and Mohammed are my friends. And I climb to the top of the mountain. I and I will be trotting to the end, because I am the greatest. I and I are the best the world has ever seen. Greatest amongst all human beings. Inspired by the teachings of His Majesty, adores the philosophy of Malcolm X and Marcus Garvey, revived the liberty of Peter Tosh, Bob Marley and Walter Rodney, shared the principles of Mahatma Gandhi, reverenced the life of King Martin Luther, cherished the days of the great Nelson Mandela, because I am the greatest. I and I are the best the world has ever seen. Greatest amongst all human beings. Now remembering the days of old when apartheid and slavery were bold and cold.
I said to know for right, you better come right over. Said to know for right, you better come right over. If you want to live forever, where you'll never die, never steal, never tell no lie. Wanting for your home, you don't have to roam. All you got to do, praise the Most High. To know for right, you better come right over. I said to know for right, you better come right over. I hear Baba that say, I hear the voice of the Rasta man. Babylon, the throne gone down, gone down. Babylon, the throne gone down.
One good thing about music, when it hits the beat, whoa, whoa, I say. One good thing about music, when it hits the beat.
The Africa Unite Youth Symposium continues to equip young people with tools to combat the daily challenges they face. The therapist for music is the essence of this year's event, and Dr. Kadamowe Knife examined the topic, Bob Marley, the social entrepreneur, a rebel with a cause. Here are some highlights of his presentation.
I check Google because I want to know who people think about all the while. So when I check Google regular Google, and this is like months ago, 6 months ago. Look at what they're saying. Next to Neckleford, Professor Emeritus Rex Neckleford from the University of the West Indies, 120,000 hits. Marcus Garvey, 3.5, who don't have an honorary PhD from the University of the West Indies. Nelson Mandela, 50 million, and Bob Marley, 130 million, which means there are 130 million persons who are examining the works of Bob Marley. So here's the content. What is entrepreneurship? Characteristics of entrepreneurship. What is the entrepreneurial process and model, and why I do this? Because again, in academia, we like to argue that the people's ideas cannot be fit into any kind of model that exists, or there is no model contained within the ideas. Again, them learn to tell lies, so them constantly tell lies. And I've done a lot of work on many people who think they have models, and the models are clear. As a matter of fact, they will claim that the word that I do is cutting edge. And I think it is cutting edge for two ways. The question is why we weren't doing this before. But we can't complain about that. So let's see what the information is saying. What are social entrepreneurs? Social entrepreneurs are a person who seek to improve the quality of life of a person by establishing a self-sustained kind of dynamic, driven by a clear mission. And so what I have done with the work is to look at what Bob Marley has said, not only in the music, but in the interviews. Because I find interviews to be very instructive. You know, it's a just called phenomenological approach to what research by it is experiential. So I think that the person who experiences it can say it best. So I use his words and drop it within the context and the frameworks of academia. And here is what Bob Marley argued in terms of what his mission really is. That I will say to the people, whenever we did in the 1973 interview with Bob, I asked him, what would you say to the people about Rastafari? I said, I would say to the people, be still and know that his Imperial Majesty, Emperor Haile Selassie of Ethiopia is the Almighty. Babylon newspaper says so, and I children say so. Well, them want to see. Well, what kind of God them want for more reveal to them? Well, them want to see a white God, well, God come black. That's what Bob say, you know. I know them say Emperor Haile Selassie of Ethiopia, not Jah of Ethiopia, and I think they're very serious as well, because enough people are hide behind Jah. And they're going to know Haile Selassie is straight. When we all kind of people heal Jesus, I heal Jah, man. It's red. No. So who's Haile Selassie? Because again, Bob was saying that his mission is to show that Haile Selassie is A, B, C, D, E within iration. And here Haile Selassie is just a united nation. And make some very serious statement. I think we must actually read that thing. And he's arguing in one part of this statement that I will mention briefly today, two particular issues that are of great concern to men. Disarmament and the establishment of true equality among men. So when you talk about the United Nations, those are the principles of the United Nations. Today we still see one of the biggest concerns is about nuclear war, testing of bombs in the atmosphere, and all those things linked into the climate change. We can't ask about that now, but you can see the connection if you start to think about it. Energy can either be created or destroyed. If you drop bombs, the energy must go somewhere. It's going into the air, which is more heat in the atmosphere, and more hurricanes that are going into the earth, which means it will pass through the plates. We are taking out the oil. Remember, the oil is a lubricant for the earth. If you take out the oil and the earth is shaking, you get earth shook, earthquakes. Here's what he argued. I just argued, we must look into ourselves at the depth of our souls. We must become something we have never been, and for which our education and the experience have ill-prepared us. We must become bigger than we have been, more courageous, greater in spirit, larger in outlook. We must become a new race, and that is not genotype or phenotype. It means that it's thinking. Who is this new being? Who is this new being? Then who is this Rastaman, which comes in a different kind of lens, telling people that what you have been taught is erroneous, which is true. Who is this new being? But it's a being that Bob speaks of. Now, how this anchors into the whole idea of entrepreneurship? It is defined as a process of bringing together a unique set of resources in order to exploit an opportunity. Nothing there about business is about thinking. How we use innovation and creativity to create and generate sustainable systems for development. Now, the social entrepreneur is driven a regular entrepreneur in terms of the business lens, because the regular businessman driven by selfish self-interest, which is informed by ideas of Adam Smith and Malthus, Reverend Thomas Malthus, who say must make people dead because that's the way the earth equalizes itself. That's a reverend man. And that's what you argue in terms of the poverty of nations. The social entrepreneur mindset is different. His aim is to seek to improve the quality of lives of people, but you can't improve people's quality of life with a block pocket. You have to have money, and therefore, though his mission-driven idea is to establish high-growth enterprises. Marcus Garvey is one, and we'll show you how Baba has done that. So, you have a number of characteristics of entrepreneurs now. I mean a lot. I choose 3 right here, so to be innovative and creative, to be persistent, you know, on the next one. And so I try to look at some of the stuff that Bob has said, which shows you about this thing of innovation and creativity. And here he speaks specifically in an interview about ganja and how ganja affects one's mind. You know? So he said that, her make you look on yourself, and instead of wanting to work for a man, you want to be one of the men too. It's a pity I not read. Remember read this quote. Them say you must not use because it cause what? It make you rebel against what? Against man who crave, because them who crave. Like I say them all. Them like say, well then, because them have material things. And they want to captivate your mind and tell you, say you must work. Well you have to work. And put you on pension and then keep it all. Which is what happens to people regularly. What is the person about? What is the social entrepreneur about? It's about social equity, it's about equal rights. Rastafari liberty is a social entrepreneurial liberty, you know. Because liberty is not about self, it's about ones out there. The ones who side Rastafari don't need help. Because they side Rastafari, the ones who don't side Rastafari, them need help. Again, Bobby always says, I'm sorry for those who side Rastafari in this time. But anyway, so the aim is to do what? To build the social value, to build the social capital. We have to have economic capital to do that as well. And so you usually form organizations, NGOs, CBOs, etc. And listen what Bob is saying here again. Because them think about how you build this value. Them ask him, what do you think about all this crime and violence? That's what they will ask himself. Well, is law cause crime and violence? And all people in the law know that as well, says law cause all crime and violence. And law establishes a dynamic for enterprise, not for justice. For enterprise, because you don't need to pay for justice because people know truth and rights. You have to pay for your service, we tell you, say, you don't have to go to jail. It's not about truth and rights. Men use in jail and prison not because they do the wrong thing, but because they can't afford a lawyer. And based on the structure of the system, it's the lawyer who must speak to the judge, not you as a person who is convicted of a crime. When they say it's law across crime, well, I know really, you know, I mean, earth a come, earth a forward to how creation was and how earth rest is a mind thing. All the laws we abide by and blah blah and boom that cause you to suffer, as many can know that. Them laws don't must be a must. And him ask him, which law? Him say, every law. The only law is the law of life, the law of live. I'm going to the passion talking about them building them wire fence. Now when you check this, it means that you're trying to get uprooting the entire status quo, because you said the status quo, which is reflected in the judicial system, is what is causing the crime and violence. Because we do not observe a fundamental law within iration, which is the law of life. Why are social entrepreneurs different? Again, the idea is not about self-interest, it's not about making profit. And Bob spoke to it. It's not money my penetrating. Say, well, if you check what money is, money don't make you suffer, and money make you don't suffer. It really rests in your mind, and as I said, the discipline of the mind is the basic ingredient of general morality and of spiritual strength. He said, dig this. I am as a farmer, you know, and I am don't live with money. Them could never get a penny, I see. I am have to live. But again, I man can play music. And I man don't afraid to play the music. If money will come out of the music, money will come out of the music. So the focus is not on making the money from the music, but doing the music, but the music will make money if you do good music. Which is what Rita Muta now. I want to try to make money. Run down germs and can't run fast on germs. Germs is an illusion. Understand what money is. It is defined by its function. But if you make something that is good, people who have that will want to buy what you have. Money is not wealth, man. Money is an income stream. The things that you create, that is what is wealth. And that is why them tell that Bob Marley, whatever it is worth this amount of billions of dollars. Yes? So him say it's not the money. More of them don't get tricked. Yes? Because say, no, them are not the record open wide and bleed blood to get money. For the thing is, Selassie is the king of kings on earth. And which guy rich like the king of kings on earth? And his argument is that him is the son of the richest man on earth. So why should he run down money? Because he understands the principle of wealth. And so he can generate multiple income streams.
One good thing about music, when it hits you, one good thing about music, when it hits you.
Participants of the symposium were then placed in two groups to identify the pros and cons of today's music, along with their thoughts of Africa Unite. Let's now hear the findings of the leaders of the groups.
When a number of persons look at music, they tend to just view it from the perspective of the artist and leave out certain key elements like the instruments and the way it is mixed and certain major elements rather. So we have defined music to be a spiritual projection of oneself, also a reflection of one's experiences with an instrumental intention to strike change. Now, the current state of Jamaica's music we will see, and personally, I see where there is an understatement where dancehall music is always being confused with reggae music. So for example, when an artist goes to perform overseas as a dancehall artist, it is labeled under the title, or what it does rather is labeled under the title reggae music. Now, reggae music, when we take into consideration its history, it was developed in a radical atmosphere of Jamaica's history from some of Jamaica's most impoverished communities, and particularly in Trenchtown, where Bob Marley came from, or where he rather grew up. Now, we actually see where reggae music was actually a hit against the status quo. So it reflected more of a political and social theme, rather than that bad boy outright mentality that dancehall music reflected. So on that note, we're arguing that there is rather an understatement when you actually call dancehall music reggae music.
Making a one-stop. The generation gap. So feel this drum beat as it beats within, playing a rhythm, resisting against the system, singing, I know Jah never let us down.
Of Africa Unite, and to be honest, I think it's a wonderful idea. It reminds me of Marcus Garvey's Back to Africa movement. As a prospective history teacher, I would want to experience this concert myself, if I must say so. It's a very good dream. But this concert is not just for connecting the people of Africa and African descent, but those who are also unconscious of their African culture, and is to give them a wake-up call to that. Even though they have stepped back from it, it is there and it is ready and waiting for them to come and embrace it. And I would want everyone to know that this idea and initiative is not just for benefit, but not for economic benefit, but is a social social ropes that we want to bind everyone from every corner of the earth that is of African descent.
I also believe that this is really a great inspiration where we are not only reuniting Africa, as what Ellerine said, but all races of the world. And in doing this, it will let all people live as one and be one, as what Bob Marley did and implored others to do before he passed. Once the world is living as one, then we will be a better place. As what Bob Marley said, I and I believe that. That was the aim of Bob Marley, which is profoundly preached in all, if not most, of his songs.
Won't you help to sing another song of freedom? Is all I ever have. Redemption songs. Redemption songs.
Bob Marley's invaluable contribution to the development of the reggae movement and the evolution of music continues today through his family, and the Africa Unite Symposium speaks volumes as one such effort. Here now are messages from Marley's family.
This has been a long journey, from even before the lights, camera, action brought it to where it is today. My grandfather had a vision of African unity. All he was doing is saying it again because it had been said so many times before. My grandmother is the one who lived to make things into reality in a way that my grandfather wasn't able to when he was traveling and singing music. So when he say, one good thing about music, when it hits you, you feel no pain. It's not a lyrics him saying, it's a truth. Because he felt so much pain while he was growing up, while he was traveling the world singing these music so people could dance. He was still feeling so much pain, oppression in his home country, oppression in his mother country. So today when we say Africa Unite, we're not talking about a geographical space anymore. We're talking about Africans at home and abroad. Because we recognize that Jamaica is the heartbeat of Africa in the Caribbean. The heartbeat of Africa in the Caribbean. So when you hear reggae music and when you hear the drums sounding, it's not a music that when it hits you feel no pain. It's a reality. It's a wake-up call.
It's to stand up and talk for my rights. I know what that is. See? And I don't care who the guy is.
I'm going to read a message from Mrs. Rita Marley, who is unable to be here with us today in person. It reads, Dignitaries, presenters, Institute of Caribbean Studies, principals, staff, and students of UE, and participants. Welcome to the 10th Annual Africa Unite Youth Symposium. Our goal is to bring the Honorable Bob Marley's mission and message for African unity to reality. The youth is the most effective tool to achieve that mission. Bob Marley was proud of his black heritage. It was not just a rhetorical statement. He lived it and proved it by his actions and in almost every song he sang. He says, one good thing about music, when it hits you, you feel no pain. Today, however, the music industry has a lot of painful, negative music. Songs that incite criminal activity and violence. Painful music that is detrimental to the black race, encouraging dark-skinned people to bleach instead of embracing their beautiful black complexion. Listen to songs with positive vibrations. Music that will help emancipate yourself from mental slavery so our great race of black people could live in one love. I encourage you to use the knowledge shared by the presenters as tools to assist with achieving positive goals for yourself and our people. I am now in Ghana, West Africa, where I received an honorary citizenship working on projects to improve the lives of the poor and needy. If I can, you can. Blessed love. See you soon. God bless and one love. Mrs. Rita Marley, Nana Afua, Adobia.
One good thing about music, when it hits you, whoa, whoa, I say one good thing about music, when it hits you, you feel no pain.